Okay, here's going to be the next update on the project that we're going into here. This is just again, this is a piece of mat board, as you can see, nothing terribly fancy, pretty inexpensive, but it's still pretty durable and it's nice and easy to build out of. And what I've been doing here is trying to come up with the walkway that's going to attach to the back of the terrain piece. And what I want to do is magnetize it so that this could be potentially a standalone piece and be moved around, but also attach it and make it a bigger or kind of a continuous piece. So what I've been trying to come up with is the walkway essentially. And what I'm trying to do is come up with something that's going to be relatively thick, not like this. And I don't want to build it out of foam, mostly just because, one, I can't get pink foam here, the pink or the blue foam, and what we like to lovingly call communist California. For whatever reason, we can't get the stuff. So trying to come up with something with some material that's easy to use. So this is basically what I've been doing. I've been just taking my simple template here and marking stuff out. And the nice part is I'm just using this as one standard piece. And the reason I'm doing that is that lets me know that I can get the rest of these pieces and they're in the standard, it's all a standard cut already, so I don't have to sit here and cut the stuff. Part of that's a little bit lazy because I don't want to again cut it, but this just gives me the ability to quickly mock something up, and if I don't like the size I can throw this away and it doesn't cost me a whole lot. But what I've done here is kind of marked in what is essentially about did a bunch of marked middles, stuff like that, started going around, and essentially went ½ inch in the center lines. These are ½ inch from the edges, and then ½ inch all the way around, and then these are roughly a little over, probably more like a third, and then diagonals between, and then I'm going to cut these out and basically do all 4 squares. And then what I want to do is put a mesh material underneath here and see how that gives me a little bit of depth, gives me some things to play with. So what I'm going to do is cut this out, cut this initial square out, and then I'll put some material underneath it, stick another piece underneath that to sandwich it, and we'll see how this looks. And if I like it, then I'll probably mock up the rest of this whole thing, make one panel, and see how that turns out. And if this panel then looks like how I want, it kind of fits in the scale of things, then I will probably make either maybe one more complete panel, which is going to give me almost 14 inches in length, because this is 5 inches and this is 7 inches. So that's pretty long. I may just do one more panel, so give me roughly 10 inches. So that may be worthwhile. We'll have to see, just kind of again, overall size, and then what I've got to come up with is a means to step this down to kind of give a step and give a little bit of a plateau. But this would be kind of the main upper layer, and then I'd have to figure out some kind of railing to go along here. And again, gonna have to kind of figure out something from an aesthetic standpoint of what would fit. So I'm thinking potentially rivets on here, and then maybe again some railings and something here. I want something to give both a little bit of cover, but to give it something open. You can have a lot of things play on here, so just basically a general idea. That'd be the size of a dreadnought base, so you could easily get a dreadnought up here with a couple more models around it, so you could, in a sense, have a full fight going on here. You could even bring a tank chassis on here, and still have plenty of room to play. Not have this all crowded up with just kind of 1 or 2 models, which just doesn't really fit. So again, trying to make this a wide plateau. I'll be back in a little bit once I cut this out, and we'll start seeing how that mock-up looks. Here he is. Here he is. Here it is. Jeez, giving this thing a gender already. Here it is. I've cut out the triangles, as you can see, and then I've put the screen mesh underneath it, and then just clamped it down so you can see it actually. You trim that off, and it'll actually squeeze down pretty good. So it'll almost be flat. It'll just be coming up with a decent adhesive that'll stick and hold together like that without oozing all over the place. So we're going to need to have pretty thin adhesive, pretty water consistent, to be able to get in here and then clamp all of this down really tight. So I may have to go find a couple boxes of these things so I can ring the edge of this thing, ring the edge, and then put weight on the center of it. But it actually looks pretty good. Might be interested to maybe cut out another little, like a diamond underneath this, just to give it all the way through, to give it again another, to give it some dimension. Little concerned about the thickness and then of the mat board with regards to models and stuff. I mean, you know, it's not going to tip a model over, you know, so I mean, it's obviously very playable. But I don't know if that lip is a little too much. Might have to do this out of, maybe the top layer out of cardstock. Downside of that is now I've got mat board and cardstock, and it doesn't give that thick of a profile, and then I'm not sure I can squeeze it down, because I actually like how thick that looks. It gives it a little bit of substance that that'll be there. Plus, it just gives it that extra little bit of durability, again, because it's going to be a terrain piece, so it's going to get beaten up, it's going to get thrown around, and I prefer to overbuild it so that it will last and such. So that's the idea. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other triangles, make up a full piece, come up with the glue this whole thing down, and see what we get out of a panel. And then, like I said, I may try cutting an additional, maybe do like a square twisted so it looks again like a diamond in here or something like that. I don't know, maybe 2 of the spots just to kind of see, and see if that gives it enough visual interest for what I'm looking for. So, more to come. Okay, there we go. There is a full panel mocked up. So, just again, so you can kind of see if I were to trim that off, and it gets, you know, go pretty flush. It'd be pretty good. So, you know, and if I cut these in small panels, not just do one sheet over it and trim the edge, then that might give me a decent glue strip around this. I'll have to kind of figure that out. Maybe what I do is cut it fairly close at this edge, so the perimeter has contact all the way around, but the center is really with the mesh. I'll have to figure that out. That might get kind of persnickety with the dimensions and stuff, but we'll see. That might work out. So that's the basics of a panel. I'm going to let it sit overnight, see how it grows on me, see if I like it, and maybe do some more mock-up and do a couple more templates. Use this one as a base template, trace a bunch of stuff out. That way I've got 3 or 4 panels I can have real quick, and you know, if I destroy this and don't like it, then no harm, no foul. So like I said, the next one I want to try to do is cut maybe some holes in the bottom of this to give it a little bit of, again, give it a 3 dimension so you can see through it. So I'll probably do that tomorrow morning after I let this sit overnight. So there you go. That's the basics of this. More to come.